Hello and welcome back to the Football Chat podcast. It is episode 112 today, where we're going to be trialling a new format for the show. Before we talk about one topic, we talk about it for about 20 minutes, and then that's it. But now we're going to be talking about a few different stories from the week for about an hour-ish, depending on how bored Harry gets. But yeah. So if you do enjoy the new format, go and hit a like down below to show some support. Or if you're on Spotify, make sure to rate the show, and you can download the podcast as well. So yeah, shall we start with today's first story, Manchester United and their search for a new owner. It's been drawing on for a while now, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's into third, but it's just taking its time for some reason.
Well, it just makes sense. They're going to do their due diligence, aren't they, the Glazers? Because at the end of the day, they've not been the greatest owners for Manchester United. In some eyes, I mean, United fans very unhappy about their running of the club, given the amount of dividends they take, given the fact that Old Trafford is in massive need of a repair. The roof is, refurbishment, there you go. The roof is has holes in it, and the stadium's getting quite old and tattered now, so that definitely needs improvement. So they've not been perfect, but they have spent over £1 billion in the transfer market in the last 5 years. So there are positives and negatives for their ownership, and obviously they have had a lot of success with the Glazers in charge. They've also had a barren period over the last decade or so. So there's ups and downs for the Glazers ownership. I think overall, United fans will view it as a negative. I think the owners are going to be buzzing with what they've taken out of the whole situation because, I mean, it's been quite successful for them both financially and in terms of their reputation. I mean, I don't know many people that would have heard of them before Manchester United. Obviously, I think they own a American sports club. I can't remember which though, or what sport, but they weren't they were known, but they weren't as well known as they are now. So I think they'll come out of this positively and with a cool 5 bill, potentially, depending on who buys it. So who are the potential suitors? Well, you've got Sheikh Jassim and you've got Sir Jim Ratcliffe. If you've been following the story, you'll probably know those names, be quite familiar with those guys. But if you're not, Sheikh Jassim is a Qatari prince or Qatari royal whose father has a really long name. It's Sheikh Jassim. They've both got the same name and then a load of names afterwards. There's not a lot of information about him, which isn't surprising. I mean, I hadn't heard of him before this. No. I don't know if you were familiar with Sheikh Jassim.
To be honest, all I know is he's a very rich man with a lot of money.
Yeah, backed by the Qatari state, he's going to have a lot of money behind him. There was also rumours that the PSG owners were interested, but I believe they're not now going in for him. I think that would be a conflict of interest there with regard to the Champions League.
Imagine they play each other in the Champions League final.
I don't think they'd be allowed to. I don't think they'd be allowed to have two clubs in the Champions League. Like Red Bull had a massive issue getting both Salzburg and Leipzig in the Champions League, so they had to do some weird workaround to get them both in there. But yeah, and then Sir Jim Ratcliffe is the Ineos owner. Ineos, quite a well-known oil brand, I believe. Yeah. They sponsor the Mercedes Formula One team, so they're big, Ineos, and you'd imagine that if Sir Jim Ratcliffe was to purchase Manchester United, they would be a sponsor in one way or another, possibly a shirt sponsor, possibly just one of the other sponsors that they stick at the bottom of their website. So it's going to be interesting. Qatar versus Ineos, both very rich, but the bids are slightly different. Slightly different bids. Sheikh Jassim's bid $5 billion for 100% of the club, which is quite a bit of money. But considering Chelsea was sold for a similar thing, and I would argue Manchester United is a greater...
That's a good deal.
Yeah, greater source of revenue.
£5 billion is a good deal.
Yeah, pretty good value for money, that. $5 billion for 100% of the club. And then Sir Jim Ratcliffe has bid $3.75 billion for 69% of the club. Now, why there's a difference is that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is simply buying the Glazers out of their share of Manchester United. Sheikh Jassim is taking over the entire club. So I believe there's some other shareholders involved with the ownership of Man United. So yeah, Sheikh Jassim wants to buy them out as well. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is happy to only own 69%. That is obviously the controlling stake. So yeah, I think they're both interesting bids. Who do you think would be best?
Now there's I think obviously, the Sheikh Jassim has got probably more money behind him.
Yeah.
I think he's more likely to provide. And you look at the way, Man City and other teams, with loads of money behind them, have managed just to pump money into the club. Although Man City did do it wrongly. But
I was going to say,
if you
Man City currently being investigated for financial...
If you do it legally,
fair play.
That's a lot of money to get pumped into your club. But as I said, you've got to do it legally. B, I think it is interesting because from the Glazers' point of view, surely it's easier to sell to Jim Ratcliffe because he's only buying you out. You don't have to get the other shareholders involved. You can just let him buy your stake and then you can jump ship.
It's probably a quicker takeover for the Glazers. And also it values the club higher. 3.75 billion for 69%, I think values the club at about 5.4 billion. So more than the Sheikh Jassim bit.
Also saying with that 5 billion, the Glazers have to share that with the other 31%, which means they probably get less than 3.75 billion.
Well, exactly. That's exactly my point, saying that, 69% for 3.75 billion is technically more. Values the overall club at a higher price. So I think it's going to be interesting. Sergeant Ratcliffe, obviously, we know he's a Manchester United fan, so I think that will bode well. I think there's a lot of United fans who want that Qatari investment. They want Sheikh Jassim to come in, splash a load of cash and win everything. Obviously, we've seen how money can have a huge impact on football. You've used examples like Manchester City. You could look at PSG and Newcastle as well.
I say, the Middle East coming into football and spending money on these big football clubs and just pumping money into the club. Because Man City, they were a good side, but as soon as they got that investment, suddenly they're one of the best sides in the world. PSG, they wouldn't piss the French league every year if they didn't have that much money. They wouldn't be even at the top of the French league. And then Newcastle, they've gone from relegation candidates to fighting for the Champions League. So it's it shows the power money can have. But then on the flip side, look at Chelsea. They've invested a ridiculous amount of money in their club, and it's not been fruitful. You have to invest right.
They've gone from Champions League candidates the other way, fighting relegation now. So I think from a sporting point of view, Sergeant Ratcliffe makes more sense. I think he cares more about the club. I don't think the investment will be too dissimilar because you can't invest more than you've got. I think if anything, Sergeant Ratcliffe spending less to buy a controlling stake in the club means he'll have more money potentially to spend, or it implies he doesn't have 5 billion to spend to get the whole club.
And if you've got, as you said, he's a Man United fan, so he cares about the club. He knows what he's doing when it comes to, he knows about football.
Because to run a business.
Exactly.
He's got any us. Sheikh Jassim, as far as I'm aware, doesn't own any businesses.
He's just a rich man from Qatar.
Well, exactly. But equally, he can then employ the right people to run things for him if he's smart with it. So, I really don't know who's going to be the owner. It's going to be down to the Glazers and who they decide will take over next. I think they're using the same company that Chelsea used. The same outside adjudicator. I can't remember the name now. But they deal with big sales, so the owner doesn't have to make a choice between them. Instead, the third party decides who is a better fit for the club.
The Glazers just want their money into the
well, the Glazers don't care, do they? They've not cared about Manchester United really over the last decade, so why would they care now? They just want the money. If they leave the club in tatters, they leave it in tatters. But the more money they can get, the happier they will be. That'll be an interesting story which develops. We know the Glazers have been wanting to sell United for a while now.
Yeah, I think either way it will be a positive thing for United because we know how much the fans hate the Glazers. We've seen I know they've had quite a lot of success, but if that's from the Glazers' point of view, they've got really successful. They've managed to line their pockets.
Yeah.
From the fans' point of view, we've seen the protests before games. We've seen games called off because fans are protesting against.
There's another protest the weekend just gone before the Aston Villa match. So, there's definitely a lot of distaste towards the Glazers. However, this is not going to be a quick process. No. Selling football clubs is not a matter of days. The only reason the Chelsea one went through in under a month is because of the great pressure on that deal to get done.
Had to. That's the
deal had to be forced through.
Abramovich gone as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so that was sold as quickly as possible. Whereas the due diligence will be done on this.
Yeah,
Manchester United will make sure they have the right owner coming in. Probably potentially at the end of the year, if not for next summer. I don't think this will be done before the end of the season.
No, I doubt
so. I'd imagine you're either going to be looking at January potentially. They come in or the summer after, which would make some more sense if it's the summer. That's a greater time period where there's nothing going on the pitch, so you can sort out everything off the pitch and get ready for the new season. Should we move on to our second topic of today's show? Dortmund bottling the Bundesliga. This is so frustrating. Because the one season Bayern are actually slipping up, and Dortmund are nowhere. Well, they're not nowhere. They're right there, and they're not. They just can't feel any consistency
to go, and there's still a chance that Bayern drop points. But
yeah,
from a neutral point of view, and I think most people watching or listening, you'll agree with us here. As if you're not a fan of Bayern, you just want to see someone else win the Bundesliga.
Or Bochum. VfL Bochum and Bayern fans are really tight. Apparently, the Bochum fans really want Bayern to win for some reason. So I think there's a relationship between their fans, which means that Dortmund.
Well, I mean, they want. Hand.
Well, yeah, exactly. They Dortmund drew with VfL Bochum on Friday evening, 1-1. That was quite the controversial game. Adeyemi scored to level the game, but then later in the match could have been given a penalty.
Stonewall penalty.
Wow. And Jude Bellingham's comments as well.
You talk about that close relationship between Bayern and Bochum. I'd have a look at that referee's bank account.
I was going to say, I'd look at the close relationship between Bayern and the referees after that one. But
that was a stone. I think it's not one of those 50-50s where you look at it and go, you look after the game and go, that should have been a penalty, the referee got it wrong. I genuinely don't know how the referee or VAR hasn't looked at that and gone, hang on a minute, that's a stonewall penalty.
As much as I agree with you that should have been a penalty, I do just think Dortmund can't use that as an excuse.
Oh yeah,
you cannot draw. Was it at home or away? I believe it was at home. Away. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You can't draw, whether it's at home or away. You can't draw the bottom of the league and expect to get off because you missed a penalty.
Man City went to Southampton and they drew and they blamed on penalty.
Sorry, not bottom of the league, but they're in the relegation places at the moment.
It's inexcusable when you're fighting for a title and you're drawing to bottom of the league. Terrible performance. Really, really poor. Bayern are now back top.
Bayern obviously beat Hertha 2-0. Hertha put on a show though. Fair enough to them because they kept that they are actually bottom of the league. Hertha, they kept Bayern quiet for almost 70 minutes. Serge Gnabry opened the scoring on the 69th minute. That takes Bayern back to the top of the Bundesliga by a point. Now 62 points.
Well, there's only a point in it, and there's still a few games to go. But it's going to take Bayern to drop.
They've played 30 in the Bundesliga.
I think I just don't back. Because even if Bayern drop points, which I think they could, because they have not had a great season by any stretch, I still don't back Dortmund to win all their games.
Because I think even if Bayern slip up, Dortmund slip up.
Yeah.
So to look at the fixture list for the rest of the season, then Bayern travel to Werder Bremen, then they host Schalke, then they host Leipzig, and then they head to Cologne.
Leipzig the only team there that I think will challenge.
Well, Schalke have to win. Yeah, that's my only thought in that game is Schalke must win, if not they're probably going to get relegated.
So they might be up for it.
So they need a result there. And then Borussia Dortmund, they have... Oh, dear. They host Wolfsburg, then Gladbach. They're not easy games at all. Then Augsburg away, Mainz at home to finish the season.
Not great.
It's not ideal, is it? Augsburg currently 13th in the Premier League, in the Bundesliga. Mainz at 8th. Gladbach 10th, Wolfsburg 7th. So they're all sort of in that mid-table. Yeah. They're clubs that you can slip up against.
100%.
So Dortmund have the tougher run in. I just feel that this was Dortmund's greatest chance to win the Bundesliga for years. They've not won it since Jurgen Klopp, right?
Yeah. And I mean, Bayern, it's kind of like they try to hand it to Dortmund, sacking Nagelsmann.
That was a poor decision. Overall, they've made a massive mistake there.
That was a panic. They lost in the Champions League and they
No, they didn't even lose in the Champions League. They got through. They lost in the... It was the Internationals, wasn't it?
They lost in the Poke, didn't they?
No.
Oh, no.
It was, so after a loss to Leverkusen, 2-1 loss to Leverkusen, they sacked him, brought in Thomas Tuchel. He won 4-2 in his first game. Since then, just 2 wins, 3 losses, and 2 draws.
I still think something must have gone on behind the scenes.
Well, that's what's been rumoured, isn't it? That Julian Nagelsmann fell out with the board.
You don't sack a manager that's only lost 3 games all year.
Exactly.
And you bring in a new one who's already lost 3 games. He's already lost more than 3.
Equally, one of those is in the Champions League.
Yeah,
but
I also look at
and the other one in the Pokal, which means they're out of the Pokal now, and that's another trophy they usually just waltz to. There will be a shock winner because Dortmund got knocked out by Leipzig as well. So the Pokal semi-finals, which are actually happening, when this goes out, yesterday and today. So so Freiburg and Leipzig in one semi, and then Stuttgart and Frankfurt. I
just think it's absolutely mental. Yeah, I just don't understand that decision. But Dortmund, how you don't pounce on that, I do not know.
Well, this is the frustration from Borussia Dortmund. They've got a chance to win the league. After they lost to Bayern, fair enough. That's a tough game. But again, Bayern have lost games since then.
They lost 4-2. And I look at the game. Kobel gave Bayern 2 of their goals. And the other one won't run an own goal.
That's Dortmund's biggest issue. They should have beaten Chelsea. But in that game, again, Kobel dropped one of those. No, Kobel didn't even play, did he?
No.
I think it was Alexander Meyer. So that's what explains that one. But it feels that Kobel's always not there for the games they need. And when he is there for the big games, he makes mistakes. So.
But I also look at the squads. I look at the quality of the squad. And to me, there just seems to be a massive difference.
There's a disparity.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Dortmund are relying on Adeyemi his first season in the Bundesliga to provide all of the goal-scoring threat.
Because do Dortmund not have money, or do they not?
Dortmund have money.
I just don't understand why they don't build a better squad.
But Dortmund's investment is always to invest in young players and breed them for the future. They've had problems this year. Sebastian Haller missing the first half of the season.
Yeah, but then why do they bring in players like...
Well, they brought in Modeste, didn't they, to replace him?
But even bringing in players like Niklas Süle, why?
That's the problem. They don't. Yeah,
they're just getting Bayern's
weird
rejects.
transfer, but it was a free, so that is a good signing on a free.
Yeah.
To bring a defender who's played regular Champions League football and won Bundesliga.
That youth player they wanted to bring in.
He's a fantastic centre half, Nico Schlotterbeck. But yeah, he's not actually played a lot recently. I don't know if he's out injured, but nothing on the injury list. Yeah. But he's also not on the bench. I don't know where Schlotterbeck is, but he was not in their side that drew with Stuttgart. In that absolute mess of a match. The fact that you went 2-0 up, they brought it back to 2-2, already that's shocking because Stuttgart are currently fighting off relegation. Yeah. And then Reina manages, you think he's won it in the 93rd minute, and yet somehow you still concede after that. They were a man down, Stuttgart. Yeah. Konstantinos Mavropanos sent off in that game, who has a brilliant name, by the way, former Arsenal player. He was sent off in the 39th minute. Dortmund were 2-0 up. Then Stuttgart get a red card. That should be kill the game off. Lovely jubbly. They somehow drew that match.
It's inexcusable. Right, I don't understand how you bottle a league.
And then Bochum, conceded after 5 minutes. Adeyemi levelled it after 7, and then they couldn't score for 83 minutes. 67% possession, 2.85 expected goals, 22 shots, 7 on target, and yet no goals after the 7th minute for Dortmund.
What I also don't... I mean, what do Dortmund do to challenge... I mean, I know we're talking about the quality of the squad not being good enough.
Well, I don't know if the quality of the squad's the issue. I think the quality of the manager. Like, Terzic is a good coach, but he's not a Thomas Tuchel, a Julian Nagelsmann. He's not one of the best managers in the world.
That'd be a kick in the teeth if they went and got Nagelsmann.
It would be, but it would also be sort of harsh on Terzic, I think. But Dortmund, they quite like Terzic. The Dortmund
they do, but again,
fans.
If they don't win the league this year, that's a failure.
Yeah, so the last trophy, the last Bundesliga that Dortmund won was in 2011-12.
But also,
since then they've finished runner-up in pretty much
if they don't win the league this year, it's going to be another trophyless season for Dortmund. When was the last time they won a trophy?
They won the Pokal in 2020-21.
That was 3 years ago.
And since then, nothing else. German Super Cup in 2019-20. They won the Champions League in 96-97.
That's a bit while ago.
The last time they were actually competitive for the Champions League in 2012-13 when they lost the final.
All the leagues and why Germany's so low. I mean, apart from France, how your second best team in the league can go trophyless for 3 years?
Yeah, but that's just because they are failing. But also, I think does that not make a more competitive league?
Well, no, because that's your second best team hasn't won a trophy in 3 years. That says your first best team's just pissing it every year.
No, because the winners of the DFB Pokal last year were Freiburg, right?
Yeah, but again, that's like Real Betis winning it.
I know they can run. Who won the? I'm going to find out who won the Pokal.
Leipzig beat them in the final.
Oh right, yeah, no, that's not as exciting, is it?
No.
Yeah, Pokal winners in 21-22. Runners up in 2021 and 18-19. So
they love Pokal run, and then in the semi-finals against Freiburg again.
Yeah. Which, if they win that, they've probably got an easy game because it's Stuttgart or Frankfurt. Frankfurt got touched.
That's the thing. No one else can challenge Bayern because Bayern just go and buy all the best players from all the other teams in the league.
Yeah, we thought Union were actually going to challenge at one point this year. They've not been as competitive. They are still third in the league, but
I don't know what happened to them.
Well, they had a really terrible February where they drew with Ajax in the Europa League, drew with Schalke then at the weekend, and then they got through in the Europa League. Lost to Bayern, drew with Cologne, drew with Wolfsburg, got knocked out 6-3 on aggregate in that Europa League quarter-final.
Really weird.
No, round 16, not quarter-final. And then since then, losses to Frankfurt in the Pokal and Dortmund, and then they've drawn with Bochum and Leverkusen in recent weeks. So it's just been really patchy since sort of the turn of the year. I mean, if you just scroll from the first sort of month of January, they won every match in January.
Yeah.
And then they won the first 2 games of February, and then they've had a fall off towards in recent weeks.
And then you look at other teams like Bayern just went and bought Gladbach's best goalkeeper just to be their backup.
But I think that's the issue. Union were trying to compete on multiple fronts. They had Europa League to contend with, they had the Bundesliga, and ultimately pushing for both meant they were knocked out of both. But Union are fine because they're going to have Champions League football for next year if they can avoid slip up. They're only 2 points ahead of Leipzig in 5th, which is a concern because if Union were to get knocked down to the Europa League, I think that's a poor season for them. Champions League football completely transforms their fortunes.
But you mentioned Leipzig again, and speaking of Bayern, what's that? They've went and bought their best centre half with McCarthy.
And they've got Conrad Lima joining them in a couple of weeks.
Let's just go buy all their best players.
And they signed Marcel Sabitzer, who was arguably their best player, and then just loaned him to Man United.
Imagine Man City just did that when they bought every best player, the best player from every single team in the league.
Grealish, Ake.
Yeah, exactly.
Phillips.
Yeah, no, but they. Okay, yeah, let's be honest, they were like relegation sides when they bought them.
Yeah, I get that. It's not like
Bayern have gone to 4th in the league and just taken 2 of their best.
It's not like they've gone and picked out Reece James, Mo Salah. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Rashford come over here.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't. Bayern are definitely a level above the rest of the Bundesliga, but they've not been this year, and Dortmund should have exploited that, and they haven't. Yeah, the fact they haven't is a massive.
They've absolutely bottled it.
Performance. Union are only 6 points off the lead now. I think they'll be so frustrated that they threw away points in February because they definitely could have been up at the sharp end. In fact, even in recent weeks, if they'd been able to convert draws against Bochum and Leverkusen into victories, well, they'd only be 2 points behind Bayern Munich, 1 point behind Dortmund. They'd be in the title race. But I feel unless Dortmund and Bayern keep playing like they are and Union win their last 4 games,
you never know.
Well, it's not impossible, but it's improbable. But that would be amusing if after all this time of Dortmund pushing Bayern to win the title, it's Union that breaks the spell.
Yeah. I just want to see someone else win it, because it's just
I think everyone wants to see someone else win
it every single year.
Yeah. It very much is. Hopefully it doesn't continue for too much longer. Should we move on to our third story before we get on to a new segment as well for the show as to end off? Next story, Sheffield United. Now, people rejoicing, fans rejoicing as Sheffield United promoted back to the Premier League. Very good season. Paul Heckingbottom's side have played some nice football and they're second, going up automatically to the Premier League. However, it's not all buzzing, not all joy and sunflowers and roses at Sheffield United because their finances are horrendous. Financial trouble for Sheffield United has caused a lot of issues, and the owner is desperate to sell now, despite the fact his team have got back to the Premier League. A lot of this is due to promotion bonuses. £8 million in promotion bonuses.
Why would you ever set that up?
Because he wasn't expecting them to go up, evidently. And he thought if they did, then he'd have the money to be able to pay them off. But it hasn't worked out for whatever. Yeah.
Also, how did he also not look like halfway through the season and go, I'm going to have to get 8 million together here, and then just proceeded to not do it?
Would imagine the owner's not too active in the club then.
I mean, it's ridiculous. But for me, it doesn't matter that he's going to sell, because as we talked about earlier with the Glazers, it's a long process to sell a football club. You can't just sell it overnight.
You can cut corners if you want, though. You can definitely cut corners.
You can, but that's just put the club in complete.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it? You can fast track the transfer, you can cut corners, you can get the sale through. But for Sheffield United fans, that would be a concern. But they are one of the most attractive prospects out there. You're taking a club that played really nice football in the Championship this year. They're going to be in the Premier League next season. I do think their squad is very weak. That's going to take a lot of investment.
That's what I was going to say. When in this stage where you've confirmed promotion and you're obviously heading into the promised land of the Premier League, this is where you need to be looking at your squad, your personnel, your staff, your manager, improving those things. But their main role is going to be finding money and finding a new owner.
Yeah, you want stability as you go up.
Yeah.
Because a lot of other aspects of the club will have to change. Playing staff often have to change. Yeah. Because I think I saw a kid joke the other day that Derby's record points tally might be in jeopardy with Sheffield United going up. I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they did only score 12 points next season. They were under that 13 points that Derby scored.
Their squad is just not good enough.
No.
I'll be honest, I don't really know how they've been promoted.
Well, they've played some good stuff, and they've been consistent. If you look at the Championship, consistency is key. Like you've got some sides playing some really nice stuff, like Middlesbrough, Luton Town. They've both been great sides, but they've not been as consistent.
It says it all that you look at their results against Burnley, Luton, Middlesbrough, Blackburn, Millwall, and they've dropped points in the majority of those games.
But that's at the end of the day, you don't win titles by how many points you score against the big six. You win titles and you get promoted.
They beat
promotions.
Blackpool. That's what you got to do.
Exactly. If you can batter Reading in because they're crying that their club's been docked about 100 points this year, then up you go.
I think they're going to really struggle next year. I like Paul Heckingbottom, but I don't think he's good enough to manage in the Premier League. I don't think the squad's good enough. They've got, as you said, so much financial trouble. The owner wants to sell it. There's so much wrong with that football club. I don't see any way they stay up next year.
No, and I think that's a major concern. I think that's a major concern for Sheffield United.
Turn into a yo-yo club.
But also, I don't think Paul Heckingbottom's a Premier League manager.
Not
like, don't get me wrong. Massive shout out to what he's been able to achieve this year, and I hope he proves me wrong next year because there's a lot of managers that do it. Look at Gary O'Neill, for example, never managed in the Premier League before, and Bournemouth are going to stay up there.
What was the type of bloke though you bring in as an interim manager, not your full-time Premier League manager?
Yeah, but we've shown that actually coaches, assistant managers can be better than the actual guy.
What I'd do is, even if you bring in a new manager, still keep Paul Heckingbottom around. Because I said,
I don't think they'll bring a new manager. I think they'll wait.
Yeah,
look at Parker. Give him 4 games. Let him show that he's not quality enough, and then you can't sack him without any.
And then bring in Scott Parker and see what happens.
Don't ever do that. Advice to all owners out there: don't even look at Scott Parker.
See him in the street and run away.
Yeah, but. Yeah, it's just a weird situation, Sheffield United. It's weird that you see a club go up and yet still have financial issues. Because clubs pump loads into getting promoted, and then sometimes it doesn't pay off, and then they get financial problems. It's not, it's worked out, but hang on, we've still got no money.
Yeah,
I think that's poor budget.
I know obviously you get more for going for the playoffs, but getting promoted should give you enough money to be able to, have decent enough finances.
Yeah, you still get, £100 million?
Exactly. It just shows a complete mismanagement.
Yeah, I know. Obviously, the Championship playoff final is the most lucrative sports final in the world.
It's mental.
Or at least football final. I think maybe the Super Bowl's ahead of it in terms of sports final. But I think it's the most expensive.
What do you mean that is football? Let's go, dudes. But,
it's the most expensive football.
Yeah. So soccer.
Yeah.
But I just it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous how I don't know what the owner's done with the finances, whether he's been to the casino too much or whatever he's doing. How if you're getting 100 million?
He's done a Red Bull, paid too much in catering.
If you've got 100 million for going up, you can't give 8 of that to your players, and then you've got 92 million left for yourself or to do whatever you want to do with it. It's ridiculous.
What I'd love to see is the Sheffield United fans call together the money and own the club, because it'd be amazing to see a Premier League club owned by the fans. But in the realistic world, that isn't happening.
No, that's a lot of money.
Exactly. So they're going to need a new owner. We've not heard of anyone interested yet, but you'd imagine there'll be clubs interested.
Yeah, people around.
Here's a proposal. Red Bull.
Oh, I love these. It happens every time a club like this.
Yeah, Derby was struggling. Potential for Derby.
Everyone thought we could see RB Derby.
RB Sheffield United.
Well, just get rid of United. RB Sheffield.
Yeah, but that kills the club. That's what they'll do, isn't it? It'll be RB Sheffield.
Yeah.
But I want to keep the identity of Sheffield United. I don't think Red Bull would do that, and I think the fans would hate it if they were Red Bull Sheffield.
Red Bull Leipzig, Red Bull Salzburg, Red Bull Sheffield.
New York Red Bulls, and then Red Bull Sheffield.
Red Bulls. Sheffield United Red Bulls.
But Sheffield have a strong English football heritage. They are one of the oldest clubs in the Football League. They should be up there at the sharp end. They should be competitive. So I hope they get an owner that can provide them with the backing to be able to pull that off. And this season, it's only the third time in Premier League history that all 3 promoted sides have stayed up. Is there a chance it happens next year?
No.
Why not?
Burnley will be alright.
I think Burnley could do what Brentford have done. They'd be up in the top
Sheffield
half.
United,
unless they have massive improvement.
Yeah, unless they start the finances, they will go down. And I look at Luton, Middlesbrough, Blackburn, or Coventry or Blackburn.
Don't even need to look at the other 3, mate. Luton Town.
I look at those
Europa League football next year,
and I go, none of them stay up.
Nah, that's disrespectful to Luton, mate.
Oh, no. Luton do not stay up in the Premier League.
Well, the fact that Luton are even at the top end of the Championship, considering their finances, is sensational.
Their number one concern next year isn't improving their squad, it's building a stadium because it's too small.
That's
Middlesbrough,
nice.
I like what Michael Carrick's doing, and maybe
Middlesbrough could stay up if they've got money.
Yeah, and I guess if they can get a lot of their loans this season onto permanent, Cameron Archer, Aaron Ramsey, basically a lot of Aston Villa players, but.
Yeah.
If they maybe Coventry,
I think you get a bigger bargain than spending 20 million on Cameron Archer, and unproven.
Cameron Archer's class.
Yeah, but he's unproven in the Prem.
No, he's not. We've not seen him.
Well, he is unproven in the Prem. He's played about 2 and not scored. Oh, he's so good.
I think Coventry don't stand a chance. No offence to any
I don't think Coventry are going
fans.
up.
They're 5th.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going up.
They're still in there,
Yeah, I know, but I think if it's not a Luton Middlesbrough playoff final, then that is the most Championship thing ever.
Yeah, it would be
it's Coventry Blackburn.
And to be fair,
and then either Victor Gyökeres or Ben Brereton Diaz are going to be in the
absolutely brilliant to see Blackburn back in the Prem, but I think they'd be rock bottom.
Yeah,
that squad is not good enough.
Well, neither's Coventry. I mean, imagine Millwall go up.
No,
I don't want it to happen because I think it would be. Yeah, I mean they're going to be a worst team in Premier League history.
I'm saying this on a video so Millwall fans can't find me and hunt me down.
I think they'll still find you and hunt you down.
Horrible people.
No, I don't think they're horrible people. Like there's good Millwall fans. There's going to be bad eggs. There are at every club. It seems there's a couple more at Millwall than other clubs. But would that not be the most exciting? I'd rather watch West Ham turn up at Millwall. That would be fireworks.
From a neutral point of view, watching Millwall.
Imagine Haaland walking into the Den.
He gets 50p thrown at his head.
Yeah. It's a shame that we can't have both Millwall and Luton in the Premier League just for the vibes of Haaland having to turn up to these little. The Den's not a little stadium, to be fair, and Millwall aren't a little club, but they are.
I would like to see Man City just rock up a Kenilworth Road. Walking through Jane's front garden.
The park of the team bus in someone's garage.
The away. Imagine all Man City fans piling into that away and having to go under someone's house.
Yeah, through June's back garden.
Yeah, literally. Have you seen the stairs that literally just over people's gardens?
It's like everyone keeps copying the same tweets. They did the same with Will Still, and it's like it's a thing now on Twitter where you put the same text of Luton Town could get promoted and this is their stadium, and then because a load of the big accounts are tweeting it with a picture of Kenilworth Road going laughing at it, and then other people have been doing the same by taking other pictures and putting them in, like a picture of a bin or a local subway. But yeah, it's been quite amusing. I think Kenilworth Road, will be exciting in the Premier League.
So Sheffield United, they're going up, but I don't see a way they stay up unless they can sort out.
Well, unless someone buys them.
Yeah.
If the other owner doesn't,
fast tracking a swapping of owners is a terrible idea.
If the current owner tries to stay, he's got to find £8 million because the players are going to want their promotion bonuses. They've got Sheffield United in the Prem.
Usually it's the other way around. If you go down, all the players want to leave. They're going up.
I don't think they'll leave because I don't know where they're going to go.
Who is going to want Billy Sharp?
Yeah. Iliman Ndiaye, I mean, he's a baller, but I don't think he's going to get a move.
He's by AC Milan.
He's a good player, yeah, fair enough. He might go.
To
be fair, if you get AC Milan.
Another one. I think they've got players.
To be fair, they've got some decent players.
But I think they're better than Sheffield United.
I could see, that's the problem. Most sides that go up, the players stick around in the Prem. But I can see a lot of them going, well, we're just going to go back down, so they move on.
Yeah.
I think Ahmed Hodzic would be a perfect someone for someone like an Aston Villa.
Back up to Conda and Mings.
Yeah,
Conda.
If anything, replacing Konza in the side.
Because Konza struggled against United.
Well, yeah, and you want rotation options because Callum Chambers as a rotation option is not it. Especially if Villa are in the Europa League next season. Yeah. They're going to have a lot more football to play, so they're going to need some more players. But yeah, I could definitely see a move for Ahmed Hodzic to someone.
Yeah.
Someone decent up in the league.
Who else they've got?
Sheffield United. Really. Should we have a look through their squad?
Yeah.
And then we'll move on to our final segment.
Because I know we're slated them and I don't think they're going to stay out. Let's actually see the squad to see if they're any good.
Yeah.
This is where we find out, apart from Ahmed Hodzic and Ndiaye,
this is just nothing.
Rubbish.
Okay, so their goalkeeper is Wesley Fotheringham. Right, I don't know who that is.
That's an absolute no. That is
Basham.
An absolute no. He was backup Rangers keeper, I swear, 2 years ago.
And then the defenders, it's the same side that went down.
Basham, Bulldog,
Stevens, Bulldog,
John Egan,
Kieran Clark, Jaden Bogle. This side is not staying up.
No.
John Fleck, Ollie Norwood, Sander Berge. Baller, to be fair. Thomas Doyle on loan. I was going to say...
He's leaving.
Yeah, I was going to say he's not coming back. James McAtee on loan. He's not sticking about either. And then Billy Sharp, Ollie McBurney, Rhian Brewster, Iliman Ndiaye, Daniel Jefferson. I just don't think this side's got any hope.
How on earth did this side get to the semi-finals of the FA Cup?
Oh, I forgot that.
How did they do that?
Mate, this is... I just don't get it.
Why are they so good?
What's going on here?
Maybe we shouldn't speak.
We disrespected Paul Etterman because he must be Jesus if he's pulled
Genuinely, they got promoted into an FA Cup semi-final with that squad.
Let's have a look at the lineup they played.
Their best player.
Well, they played a 3-5-2, so they just sat behind the ball for 90 minutes.
They've got John Egan in their football team.
Following in between the sticks, 5.8 rating, not great.
This was against Man City.
Ahmed Hodzic, Egan, Robinson, Baldock and Lowe are your wingers. Max Lowe is going to be playing Premier League football potentially next season. Middle three, Fleck, Norwood, Burge, and then front two of Ndiaye and Jefferson. I don't imagine that's how they actually play. I think that's how they set up against City. Should we see their West Brom for West? Oh, it's the same. Yeah, no, they hate football. They've played
basically 3-5-2. They play 3-5-2, kick it long to Ndiaye all game. He scores one.
Look at that.
And what then Reece Wilson wins? Look at that, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0.
4-1 against Preston, 2-0, 1-0, 4-1, 1-0, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 3-0.
You just kick it long and score a goal.
1-0, 3-1, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 2-1, 1-0, 1-0.
They genuinely just hoof the ball long, sit in a low block and score one goal and go, that's enough for today.
Yeah, they've scored 71 goals this season, which, to be fair, when Luton have scored 56, it's not bad, but... Yeah, they've not... I don't think they've...
easy Burnley have had it. They've absolutely
10 points clear at the top, Burnley. Obviously, the Championship season does come to an end this coming weekend. It's been Sheffield United in the Prem, though, it's going to be an interesting prospect. Hopefully they get anywhere.
I don't think they're staying up looking at that squad.
Well, to be fair, they do what Forest and just throw money at the problem.
That 3-5-2... They've got no money to throw at people.
They don't have any money.
They can't even pay their actual players, let them buy any more ones.
Yeah, I really hope it's like Billy Sharp who gets £1 million out of the promotion bonuses or something.
Turns out all 8 million goes on one player.
Yeah. That's the only way they could convince Mackie to come on loan.
Yeah.
So if you manage to drag us to the Premier League, we'll give you £8 million, mate. But yeah. Anyway, should we look at the final segment, a new segment for the podcast? We might come up with a better name at some point, but we're just titling at the moment the Rumour Mill.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, maybe we need some dramatic music there.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, there we go. Can we try again? The Rumour Mill.
Dun, dun, dun.
Fantastic. Right, this is the segment of the show where we're going to look at some transfer rumours and managerial moves and all that sort of stuff.
Rumours, basically.
Yeah, there we go. Things that aren't true but might be true. Who knows? So the first of which, Bellingham apparently has agreed to join Real Madrid for £150 million at the end of the season. It's a verbal agreement at the moment. I think there's two questions from this.
What a surprise.
Is 150 mil a good price?
Yes.
And is this a good move for Bellingham?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Well, that's going to be a really boring segment if you say yes to
No, I think 150 million, he is probably the best midfielder in the world right now, or one of them. And you're telling me that Real Madrid midfield of Jude, and this is for the next, forget Modric, forget Kroos. That sounds ridiculous to say.
I was going to say, yeah.
But
forget two of the greatest midfielders of their generation.
Take Kroos and Modric out of that midfield. They would still have Bellingham, Camavinga, and Tchouaméni.
Well, exactly. Camavinga and Bellingham providing the energy, Tchouaméni screening it. That's a fantastic.
And then you've still got, I think Luka Modric's probably the best midfield one ever.
I mean, he's a perfect player to learn under, isn't he?
Yeah. And Toni Kroos, who's been there, completed football. It's ridiculous.
Football completed it, mate.
Real Madrid just keep getting better.
And that's the problem, is while other clubs are regressing, who challenges Real for Champions League?
I don't mind, though.
Unless City beat them on
mind that.
A couple of weeks.
But I do like it because it means that City will never win the Champions League. Because Real will just
We'll find out next Tuesday.
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
You never know.
Real Madrid are going to beat them.
Okay. And for Jude, do you think this is the perfect move? Is that Real Madrid midfield suited to him?
It's a lot better than the other options because his rumours with Chelsea don't go anywhere near that. Liverpool, again, don't go anywhere near that. And that's about it.
Yeah. Well, Man City's linked with.
But don't go near that.
I think Haaland could be a swaying factor.
I think he'll go Real.
Okay. I think Real makes the most sense.
Because I think he wants to win the Champions League.
I think he wants if he wants the best chance to win the Ballon d'Or, is Real Madrid not the best place to do that?
100%.
I know, obviously, there you're competing with the likes of Vinicius.
But that's easy. It's easy. I'd rather compete with Vinicius for a Ballon d'Or than Erling bloody Haaland.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you could be the world's best midfielder ever, but if you've got a Norwegian robot who scored 50 goals this year, you're not going to beat him.
Yeah, do you think Bellingham has the ability to win Ballon d'Or?
100%.
Or are Mbappe, Haaland and Vinicius too?
Well, that'll be the test, though, won't it? Because we saw Modric win it in the Messi-Ronaldo era.
I think,
can Bellingham do it in the Haaland-Mbappe era?
I think it would take a World Cup for England. Because then there is no way that Haaland and Mbappe are on the same
We've got it in the bag. It's coming home. 2026. We're winning in the US.
Yeah, or the Euros, 24, 28.
We're winning in Germany.
World
We're going
Cup
back
2030.
to back to back.
We're gonna win. We're gonna do the Spain. We're gonna win Euros, World Cup, Euros.
No, we're gonna win Euros, World Cup, and Nations League. We can't win the Nations League.
Why not?
We got relegated.
We can win it in 4 years.
We can win it in 4 years' time. Win the Nations League.
Gotta love the Nations League. We're going for Nations League 27. To be fair,
that
is what we're
pushing for it.
That's why Southgate's here.
Football completed it.
Yeah, when we don't win anything for hundreds of years, but we win the Nations League in 2027.
I do still worry that England will never win anything in my lifetime.
Yeah,
that is a concern.
Hopefully. Well, at least the England women are going to be winning the World Cup this year.
Yes,
in Australia, so that'll be good.
Big summer.
Exactly. Anyway, Bellingham to Real Madrid, 150 million. We are saying that's a good deal.
Good rumour. We'll rate him. Good rumour.
Good rumour. Up next, Manchester United are in a hunt for a striker. Couple options currently linked, namely Harry Kane, Victor Osimhen, and a bit of a rogue one of Dusan Vlahovic.
What? They don't want to keep Weghorst? I am stunned.
Good plan.
Yeah.
Who do you think suits United's system best? Who works best in their team? Is it Victor Osimhen? Is it Harry Kane?
Osimhen's just good, isn't he?
Is it? But does he work for United?
Yeah.
Because United...
Imagine he can get that Kvaratskhelia link up, which he's got. Imagine
with
imagine
Rashford?
he can get that with Rashford. That'd be lethal.
Yeah. I just think Ten Hag likes a player that can play with his back to goal.
Well, then get Harry Kane in.
But equally, he's played Rashford through the middle now, isn't he? He's dropped Weghorst into attacking midfield. So
weird.
Rashford, no, it makes sense because Weghorst is your target man in behind the striker.
I'll be honest, don't go near Vlahovic.
Is a front three of I mean that's sort of a given. He's not had a great time at Juve. Good striker, but he needs to move to somewhere like Aston Villa. I don't know why they're always my go-to.
They don't need more strikers.
Yeah, no, they definitely don't need more strikers.
Watkins, Duran, and Archer. Don't need no one.
That does not sound very promising. But is a front three of Rashford, Osimhen, and Sancho? Is that the best front three in the world?
No.
Who's the best front three in the world then?
Probably Grealish, Haaland, Mahrez.
That's not a front three. They play with like 6 people up front.
I'd still put Vinny, Benzema, and Rodrigo.
I'd say though that Sancho's better than Rodrigo. It's close between Vinicius and Sancho. No. Osimhen will beat Benzema's level in my opinion.
No.
Why is that a mental statement?
No.
Why is that a mental statement? They've had very similar come-ups. Did well in the French league. Benzema got that immediate move to Real Madrid. Osimhen got to Napoli. He's doing well at Napoli now. I think he can reach a higher ceiling than Benzema.
My only concern I have is concern every single player that comes to the Serie A is such a different ball game in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And not very many players have come across and been successful from Serie A to the Premier League.
Another problem for Manchester United is that Osimhen's not going to be short of suitors this summer. PSG are linked, Bayern Munich are linked, Chelsea are linked.
PSG want everyone.
PSG do, and that's mainly because Lionel Messi, which is not a rumour that's on this list, but we're talking about it now. Lionel Messi linked with a return to Barcelona.
That would be biblical.
Yeah.
That would be. I'd write a new testament in the Bible. Write it.
Messi.
Open it with Messi return to Barca. Done.
And then that's it. And then they sell millions.
Complete it. But yeah, I don't know. Because Mbappe wants to play on the left, doesn't he? Because he doesn't like playing in the middle. Then you've got Neymar, who just whenever Neymar's gone, just let Neymar go on a free.
Where to?
I don't know, but they've got enough money. They're £200 million loss. Never mind.
I don't think you go. I've got loads of money. It doesn't matter if I lose £200 million.
They've got billions.
Yeah, but you'd still notice. Like, say you've got £100. You notice if £20 goes. You've got £1 billion. You notice if 200 million. That's a lot of money.
They haven't got £1 billion.
Like they might not.
They've got billions.
Okay. They might not notice £1 million maybe because they are that rich. But you notice 200 million.
Okay,
Your bank
200
account.
million loss out of 7 billion.
Also, the club's it's not well run at all, is it? It's PSG.
It's horrifically run. That's not in the rumour mill. But yeah, United. I think Kane's a good option. If Poch goes to Chelsea though, would Kane then go to Chelsea?
Is Kane too expensive though?
Yeah.
For who he is, because English tax will make that 100 million plus.
Osimhen, how much are we talking about Osimhen? 80? 70?
Probably around a similar mark, to be fair.
Maybe higher than that.
Is that why Vlahovic is such an appealing prospect? Because you could probably get him for 40 mil.
He's not good though.
Is he not?
He's not Premier League quality.
That is a bit preposterous, man.
No, I have relatively low expectation for a player from the Serie A. I look at strikers who've come over from the Serie A.
Equally, Lukaku's been cooking in recent weeks. There's rumours Chelsea might give him a go.
In the Serie A, that's the problem. He came over to the Premier League and he did piss all.
He did alright for a couple of weeks. He scored against Arsenal. Everyone's going, oh my God, Rumour Mill, we love you.
I could have scored against Arsenal 2 years ago. That defence.
Do you think a Lukaku return for Chelsea is on the cards? There's rumours Chelsea might give it a go.
Who else is going to A, want to join the club, and B, who else is an actual striker?
Yeah, I'm as much as I have my problems with Lukaku, and I want him sold. Let's just get him gone. Like if we, I don't know, I don't know what I'm saying. I want him gone.
How's this got
I want him
Let's
gone.
leave.
Yeah.
Let's move on. United, good rumour, get a striker in.
Next up, a bit more of a fun one. Gareth Bale to Wrexham.
I don't want to rain on the parade, but it's a no.
Why not?
Have you not seen what he said?
What did he say? Hang on, I only saw his initial tweets.
No, he then because then what's his name? Ryan Reynolds then said, he'd get
the receipts.
I can't remember. He said carve one out or do something. He'd get one. He'd tattoo one on Rob's back, and I think Gareth Bale said that he was just looking for a round of golf.
Let's have a look.
I think I might be wrong.
How long ago was this?
Oh, I don't remember.
I'm trying to find. Ryan Reynolds, mate.
He tweets so much.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's tweeted a lot about Wrexham. Oh, here we go. So Rob McElhenney obviously tweeted, "Hey Gareth, let's play golf, where I totally went to spend 4 hours trying to convince you to unretire for one last magical season."
Yeah.
And then did Bale reply to that, right?
Yeah.
I can't find his reply. But yeah, he was basically like, "Oh yeah, sure mate, we'll play some golf."
He said like, what course?
Oh yeah, depends what course. And then
Ryan
Reynolds replied to that with,
saying,
"I will shave a professional grade golf course in Rob's back if you'll give Wrexham a season."
And I thought Bale responded to that by saying that he just wanted around a golf.
It doesn't look like Bale has responded to that.
Oh, maybe not then. Might be right.
Yeah, no response from Gareth Bale yet, unless he deleted it.
No,
unless he tweeted "fuck off, Ryan," and deleted it.
Oh, you want to be a game of golf, mate? You twat.
Jesus. Or Ryan Reynolds, mate. But yeah, so what do you think are the benefits of Gareth Bale to Wrexham, both commercial and on field?
Right, so we'll start on field. It's League Two. He'd score 37 goals.
They score more than that.
Yeah, he would.
They play like 40 games, don't they?
24. They play 46. He would get 50 goals.
He'd do 100. It'd be the first 100-goal season in the League
You're
2.
saying Gareth Bale's running up to Torquay away.
Exactly.
Champions League winner Gareth Bale's in Torquay.
He'll spank 4 in the back of the net, go off after 40 minutes.
Well, I know Torquay are in the National League, but they're trying to go for a small squad.
A cup game.
Cup, yeah. Carroll Cup, not Putter Johnston.
Who's the top scorer in the League 2 this season? 27 goals for a bloke called Andy Kirk. I've never seen that man in my life.
Who's he play for?
Bradford.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
How do you know? You didn't know his name?
I know Bradford.
Mate, Bradford are 7th in the league.
Yeah, they're good.
They're not even up there.
They were good. They lost a couple of games.
Mate, he scored 27. That is mental. I don't even know. I've never heard of him before. Who's he played for? Bradford, Mansfield, Tranmere, Mansfield, Walsall, Tranmere, Barrow, Grimsby, Barrow, Carlisle, Barrow, Carlisle, Hawkinson.
He likes playing the Barrow.
He played a lot for Barrow.
But yeah, no.
Career
I think
path.
just on Wrexham, first of all, fantastic achievement, getting promoted to the Football League. But it's going to work. Because they've already bought in Ben Foster, who...
Yeah.
Yes,
he'll be gone by the start of the season.
I remember seeing when he saved the penalty against Notts County, things told YouTuber saves penalty. People forget that Ben Foster was a Premier League quality goalkeeper.
I don't think people forget. I think the news wanted to go, oh, look at this YouTuber making a big save.
Forget that Ben Foster was a quality Premier League goalkeeper.
I think idiots, again, I don't think they forget. I think the Sun journalist genuinely has never heard of Ben Foster.
And then I just think if they can do that with other players, bring in,
it's the Sun, to be fair.
Bring in really good like ex-Prem, ex-Championship players that will still be good enough for League Two. They will fly up the league.
Well, that's the thing. Wrexham have such an appeal right now, and also commercially, Bale's going to do 1 million shirts. Because I can tell you now, if Wrexham sign Gareth Bale, the first shirt I'm buying of next season is not a Chelsea one.
Frank Lampard's going to need a job soon.
Don't do that.
Get him down at Wrexham.
Relegated.
No, I didn't mean the manager.
He's going to play middle field.
Yeah, I'm playing middle field. Not passes about.
He's just rifling one home. Sorry, Elliot Lee. You've been replaced by Frank Lampard, mate.
Graham Souness announced he's leaving as a Sky Sports pundit at the end of the year.
Even people like Elliot Lee, he's a Championship quality player, in my opinion.
Paul Mullin, what a striker.
No, exactly. So I think they'll do well next year.
Ryan Reynolds did say he was the best striker in the world.
Could they go back-to-back promotions?
100%. Look at League Two. As you said,
and
Andy Cook from Bradford had to get promoted.
Every club's going to want to loan someone to Wrexham because they know they'll be learning under great players with great facilities.
Get an affiliate in there.
Playing FM now.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I know you look at Chelsea, we'll send something, we'll give them some players. Yeah. David Datro Fofana. He'll get 75 goals. Don't send him there.
No. But Bale and Fofana
what I mean?
front all vibes. But yeah, he needs a better move than Wrexham in League Two. Right. That's Bale, I think he's a good move. I don't
think it's going to happen.
I hope for the sake of the story that it ends up happening because I think it would be magnificent.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I feel like they could.
Nah.
I feel like it could. Up next, Brighton's early business because Brighton, they've been busy, haven't they?
They have been quite busy.
They've done a lot already. First, João Pedro, record signing, already a done deal apparently according to Fabrizio Romano. £30 million for the Brazilian striker from Watford. Brighton need a forward. This is a great acquisition.
A quality striker.
Well, they've also got Evan Ferguson, who is the second coming of Robin Keane.
But let's be honest, who wants to play for Watford right now? Brilliant idea to go snap him up.
Yeah, and for 30 mil, I think that's a bargain. I think that's a really good bit of business.
And obviously, they've got him while Wilder's still there because they might have bought him. The other manager might have come in and gone, "I'm keeping João Pedro at all costs."
I wouldn't have mattered. He'd only be there 2 months. That's all right. You could probably get him in August.
If I'm Premier League clubs, go raid Watford. See what they've got.
Because they get some decent talent. It's Myers Sars.
Yeah, apart from João Pedro, they've kind of got.
Sars there still.
Yeah. Who's the other one? There's another one as well.
Another one.
Oh,
the winger. Asprilla.
Yes, he's the one. He's really good. He is also.
They lost to Hull on the weekend, so that's never a great sign.
Squad. See what people can buy.
Daniel Bachmann.
Don't buy Daniel Bachmann.
I don't know many of these people. Imran Louza, he's a baller.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is a baller. No, wait, he's dropped a 7.32 rating in this Watford side.
He's not Premier League quality.
Yes, he is.
No,
look at his Prem season last year. 20 appearances, 6 yellow cards. He got stuck.
6.57.
Baller. Keenan Davis.
Henry Aurelio's there.
That's on loan. But yeah, I didn't realise that, to be fair. He's played 7 matches. Why would you?
How are Watford so shit?
1 assist.
How are Watford?
Equally, I only know he's a baller because of FM. And then they've got Matthias Martin on loan from Udinese as well. He doesn't look like a bad player. I don't really know him.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought Watford went to loan Udinese players.
Nah, they've got us weird. They've Pozo's own them both, don't they? So they just do. I mean, there's no. We've spoken about conflict of interest in ownership. Yeah. Neither of them are getting Champions League, so that doesn't matter. But yeah, João Pedro, I think he's a good bit of business.
Yeah, and big deal.
It's not the only thing Brighton have been busy doing. Ooh. James Milner. Linked with a move on a free, 37 years old. He is a free agent come the summer. This would be a free for Brighton. Do you think it's a good bit of business?
Why?
Legs, mate, midfield.
Legs. James Milner doesn't have legs.
He does have. That's all he's got.
Exactly, he has got legs. But you're just buying a backup.
But I get it. You want a leader in that dressing room. It's a young side. They're going to be playing European football potentially next season. They want an experienced head. So for the players to look up to,
going to get him a new contract.
I think Milner would take. I don't know if Liverpool want him again. He's 37. they've already got Jordan Henderson as well. They don't need two bang average centre midfielders who can't really do a
just
lot
have
but run
legs.
around. Exactly. So I think they'll probably just call it a day with Milner.
Midfielders running around in circles.
They do. Milner could do a job at right back or left back or centre mid
Henderson,
or
Milner
anywhere.
and Jones. See, that's harsh from Jones. Elliott just run round.
That's harsh from Elliott. They're both good technical players.
No, he's rubbish. Anyway, Brighton, big early business, good early business. Fair enough.
Do you think they can challenge for the Champions League football next year?
Yes, easily.
Probably challenge, I think.
I think they'll get fifth this year.
Yeah, or sixth, depending on how Aston Villa get on and whether Liverpool have a late resurgence.
I don't think Villa will be there.
Oh, I thought you'd be the most biased Villa fan in the world, but fair enough. Then our final point, the final topic of the Rumour Mill. João Felix set for another loan. Apparently Chelsea want to loan him again for another £10 million, which would be, I think, around 30 million spent on a 1.5 year loan. So great business again from Todd Bowley there. I like Felix. I can understand. He's not productive. He's not productive. I understand that, but I really like.
What's he done this year?
He's exciting.
He scored a goal.
He's exciting. He scored 2 actually.
Oh, sorry.
That's more than anyone else has done. I think he's a really exciting player to watch, but I don't think, and I understand why we don't want to spend £100 million, but either we buy him or we don't. That's
Send
not
him back
another loan.
to
Doesn't.
Atleti and never get him back.
Apparently, though, Newcastle are interested in him. I think he will. I think he's a very good player, so he will do well there.
Why?
Well, Newcastle need players that can take them to the next level, and João Felix is that player.
Is it? But not. I don't think they need a striker.
He's a winger.
But they've got. Who have they got?
Sir Maximan, who I don't think is top level.
And then who's on the other wing?
Almiron.
He's quite good.
Almiron's done alright this season, but they're not João Felix.
But they've got Jacob Murphy, and who needs João Felix when you've got Jacob Murphy?
Jacob Murphy's done right. When they turn up at Real Madrid in the Champions League quarterfinals next year with Murphy on one wing and Felix on the other.
That is the thing about Newcastle. They have done so well this year. Jacob Murphy's actually had a really good season.
He has. I don't think you can justify making him leave.
Sean Longstaff has been a key man in their midfield, and they're getting 4th in the Premier League.
But I think they'll sign players, and I think Longstaff might leave.
May not leave, but back up.
He's already back up, really, isn't he?
No.
Yeah.
Who's he back up to?
Willock, Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton's the midfield 3.
Yeah, but Longstaff's...
It's just that everyone keeps getting injured all the time. They have to sign a Bruno replacement. Because I cannot stress how important Bruno Guimaraes is to that team. And they don't have a deal.
Cost them the Carroll Cup.
Exactly. They don't have a defensive midfielder. They have to have a backup to Bruno.
João Felix wouldn't loan him back. Bad rumour.
Bad rumour. We haven't ranked the others. United strike, there wasn't really a rumour. That's more of a discussion. Okay, good rumour. Bale, you hate it because you're boring. Good rumour. I want Bale to Wrexham. Make it happen.
Brighton's early business, good for them.
Good job from Brighton, and then Felix, you're not a fan of. I don't know how I feel about it. If Felix can do something in the last 4 games, then maybe we look at him for next season. But considering Nkunku's joining as well, probably renders the signing of Felix a little bit invalid.
Yeah,
useless. Depends what Poch wants. But Poch is apparently a big fan of Pulisic and Mudryk, so it doesn't seem Felix would make any sense there. What?
I don't know.
I think a 4-2-3-1 cooks next year with Poch.
Alright.
And Nkunku is an attack fielder. Get a striker. Make sure...
We'll save that for next week's podcast.
Maybe we will. Maybe that'll be the conversation. But yeah, if you've enjoyed the new format, make sure to give us some feedback in the comments below on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, you're going to have to head over to YouTube or various other social media platforms that we have presence on, and you can tell us there what you think of our show. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed. If you have, in fact, we can do a new thing now, because we're going to be talking about multiple stories every week. If you see a topic you want us to discuss, then send it in either via Twitter or Instagram DMs, or we are thinking about setting up a Discord soon. So maybe there'll be a segment, a little segment on there. I don't know what you call them, chat thing, where you can add in
different channels.
Oh, there we go. We have a channel where you can link a little story you want us to talk about, and maybe that'll come up in the next podcast.
Hopefully that happens soon.
Yeah, hopefully the Discord is ready to go.
We can say that like someone else is going to do it for
us. No. If we get around to setting up the Discord soon, then that might happen. But yeah, other than that, make sure to subscribe if you're new around here. We're still going for 2.5k subs this year. It's a very ambitious goal. We're going to need every last subscriber to try and help us out there. And of course, on the Spotify, make sure to download, make sure to follow as well, because follows been going up. Downloads have been soaring recently.
Thanks
on the
Spotify.
Spotify and all the various other podcast platforms you may be listening to this on. So that made grammatical sense. But yeah, that's all for today. Thank you all very much for watching or listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.